welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I am sorry I'm starting a little bit late. I've been having technical difficulties that both my laptop and my phone, so I do apologize for that, and I do apologize for the echo, but I am in my new office, so I'm kind of excited about that I get to be in here, but it doesn't have furnishing yet, so it is a little bit echoey. So welcome, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Evelyn Knight. I am a Childcare Business Coach, the host of the Childcare Business Coach podcast, and I'm the founder and CEO of Childcare Business Professionals. Childcare Business Professionals is a company that helps childcare business owners learn how to get control of their childcare centers and get back your life. So I'm also a childcare center owner. I have owned 3 childcare centers plus an in-home center, and I really just love being in my center. Ironically, my director and I today, we were talking about just our center, how much we love it, and we were discussing like 25 years from now, do you think we'll still be within our centers and still, you know, she asked me, do you think we'll be retired? Do you think we'll still be doing this? And we're both like, yeah, probably. I mean, we love it. It's not so much like a job as much as it is a love and a passion. But it wasn't always that way for me. I can tell you that one point in my life, I really just wanted to sell my center that I have now. I wasn't happy, and it was because I didn't know how to be a business owner. I didn't know how to really manage a center. When I first became an owner, I had no business background. I knew nothing about running a business, and it was so hard. The finances, I thought it was impossible to make money as a childcare business owner. I just thought there's no way I can afford to pay my people ever. There's no way I can afford, and I blamed it on the industry. But I didn't realize it's because I didn't have business knowledge and I didn't know business. So if you're in that situation and you love your center, but it feels like it is draining the life out of you, whether you're an owner or director and you're in that situation, you just feel like your center is just draining you, and you think you'll never make money, and it's just the system. The system is set up to make us not successful in childcare. Reach out to me. That is what my company does. We help owners find that love and the passion again. We help you learn how to take control of your center, to be able to make money again, and to be able to really just be there again and be a part of your center once again. So let me know if that is something. I will be taking some time this week to do consultations. So let me know if you would like to set up a time for a consultation. But I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my membership, and then we will get into the content. Before I tell you about my membership, I am going to remind you to get your workbook and to follow along. Again, every day of this session is important in order for you to successfully implement what we've been learning. So again, just a recap, on day 1, we talked about really knowing your business, knowing your superpower, what makes you stand out from the crowd, right? On day 2, we talked about your online and your phone presence, being seen, that first line of communication. Nowadays, people, when they are trying to look for anything, right? Even if you're going to find a restaurant or whatnot, we take out our phones and we do a Google search. So keep that in mind, and remember that you've got to have a good professional online presence. Number 3, yesterday, was our professional persona. Always being the person and always making sure that your center is illustrating what you want to portray in the society, right? And again, you guys, I am sorry, I love the back and forth. Please comment, ask questions. Apparently, all week this week, I have not been able to see your comments as they come in. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I've been trying to look at the settings. I don't see what I can change. But do comment. I do like going in after and reading what you have to say. I love to know that I'm helping. So if there's something that you really like, just, say, yes, that resonates with me. Or if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat there. So today we're going to be talking about the tour, getting back on track with my recap of the days. On Friday or tomorrow, we will be talking about the follow-up and keeping it going. And tomorrow, I would say, is one of the most important days, because what I really want to stress to you guys is, even if you do the techniques that I'm teaching you from day 1 through 4, and you do 100 tours and fill your center, it's going to mean nothing if you can't retain the clients that you're gaining, right? If you don't keep these children and don't retain, it's really going to be for nothing. So please make sure that you are tuning in tomorrow to see, what does it mean to follow up? What does it mean to keep it going, right? It is so very important to keep it going. So on Saturday, I am doing a question and answer session. So I will be answering your questions that you post. I'm getting some questions messaged to me. However you want to do it, I'm totally fine with that. If you want to join in, I will be posting a Zoom link, and this is going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or noon Eastern Time. You will be able to jump on and have a flash session with me where I will be able to answer your questions. We'll be able to discuss things, and basically I'm going to give you some really quick coaching. I'll be providing some really quick free coaching for you guys. So again, I wanted to just tell you a little bit about my company and what we do. So I am a business coach. I do help clients learn how to really take control of their systems. I was originally contracted to go in and help centers that were going bankrupt and just help them to turn around and fix the problems, make them successful. I've also bought a couple centers myself that were going bankrupt, right? And I've basically been very successful at turning them around and making sure that they are successful centers. So now that's what I do. I help owners, not just with that portion of being able to make money, but getting control of your life, automating your systems, teaching you how to make a new hire process, right, and procedures, making sure that you're really taking those stressors out of being an owner and a director. I know how stressful it can be, but it doesn't have to be, you guys. It doesn't have to be. One of the things I talk a lot about too is just really upping your quality, right? And when you get a lot of these leadership pieces in line, your quality is going to go to the next level automatically. You are going to be doing things that make you go, once you get automated too, it's really going to take you to that next level. Those centers that you see out there and you envy them and you wish you had systems and processes like them, I can teach you how to do that. I can teach you to be that center, because that is the center I have. I wasn't always that way though. I can tell you guys that a few 6-7 years ago, my childcare center was only a 2-star with a quality rating system here in Nevada. We now actually score high enough to be a 5-star. So that is something I can show you how, but it is so much more than your classroom management. That really starts at the top. And that is what I do. Now, I have 3 different levels. I do one-on-one coaching. So if you want some intensive coaching, I do that with owners. But I really wanted to find a way to make an affordable way for people to work with me. I wanted to be more accessible, but I wanted to do that in a way where we can afford it in our industry. Our industry is struggling, especially through COVID. So I formed a membership group. And we meet every Tuesday where I teach a lesson. Every Tuesday we do something that is going to help you to make sure that your center is becoming more organized, automated, and we're taking you to the next level, right? As a leader, and your center is going to the next level. I help you with learning how to manage your time. A lot of the things that my center accomplishes, and I talk to owners all the time, it's like, well, I don't have time for that. You do, you guys, I guarantee you. I run 2 companies. I take care of my husband that's on dialysis. I do a lot, you guys. And I myself have a neurological disease, and I do all of it with, because I have really good time management skills and organizational skills, which I do teach you. I don't naturally have good time management skills. I was not born with them, which is why I have to come up with a system, which I do teach first, and then I teach you how to manage your time, and then I teach you how to take control of your center. So if you feel like your center controls you, instead of you running your center, you definitely need to reach out to me. So with our membership group, I teach on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, Christina Richmond, who will be on with me tomorrow, she actually teaches a financial track. Christina is my financial coach. I have a couple business coaches I work with in order to make myself a better leader and boss and just have a more successful business for both my businesses, right? Christina is my financial coach. I actually have contracted with her to teach you guys the things that she's taught me to make sure that she can help you with your finances. So on Wednesdays, she does the financial track. On Thursdays, I have open office hours, which right after I do this, I'm going into my open office hours for my clients. So if you're my member, you can jump on and off anytime when I have my open office hours on Friday. I leave my Zoom open, literally. We work through problems. That's what we do. It makes me accessible, but the way I've had this constructed, it also makes it obtainable financially. I just really wanted to find a way that I can make it financially feasible for me to help you, but also to be able to afford to do it, right? So making it affordable for you, and also making it where it's feasible for me from an income level. And that was my membership, which is awesome, and I absolutely love it. And with the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we don't expect you to show up for every single one. Some of my girls show up just for one a week, one a month sometimes. But the point is that it's there and available. All of the training sessions are recorded, just like this that I've been doing, and all the recordings go so you can watch them for a replay. So you don't have to do it live. You're not going to miss anything. All of my past sessions are recorded, so I literally have hours worth of trainings in my membership group. So if you would like more information, let me know. I am taking some time tomorrow, Saturday, and Monday to do consultations. So I would be happy to get on the phone with you, talk to you about it, make sure that you schedule a consultation with me if you're thinking about it, because we can figure out, is this right for you? Do I think you need this? And you guys, I will be absolutely honest with you. If you don't need it, I get it. Some of you guys are way far ahead, but if you'd like to schedule a consultation with me, let me know. I'm more than happy to schedule time to talk with you guys. So let's get into the content for today. I'm already running a little bit late since I was having technical difficulties. So we'll get started talking about the tour. So as you know, I've laid the foundation for you. The tour is, if you've gotten past the internet and the phone call, now you're getting to the tour, right? And I can guarantee that if you do the pieces that I've given you earlier, you're going to get more tours. So with the tour, I want to see Christina. Hello, Christina. I cannot see comments, so if you can help me answer questions while I speak, that would be awesome. So during the tour, you really want to keep that professional persona going, right? It's so very important to let them know that we are professional, competent. In this profession, we so desperately want to be seen as professionals, right? Sometimes we don't put that face forward. I can guarantee you guys that my center is absolutely perceived as professional. My staff are perceived as professionals because that is the face we put forward. We present ourselves professionally, right? So really keep that in mind. That is something that you put out there to the world. One of the things I really want you guys to remember about the tour is you essentially have 15 minutes to educate your parents, make a connection, build rapport, build trust, and show off your center's superpower. 15 minutes, not a lot of time, is it? But if we're really going to get these people to choose our centers and not the other centers that they're touring, that's what you've got. In that 15-minute tour, you have got to hit all those points, right? So very important. Make a connection, educate your parents on what your program is, why you do what you do. I'm a play-based program. I have 15 minutes to educate my parents on the fact that play-based is the best way for children to learn. My background is in neurological psychology. I spent 14 years of my life studying the human brain. I know that play is the best way for a child to learn. But I have 15 minutes to convince a parent of that. I took 14 years to learn it, 15 minutes to convince a parent. So one of the things I do in order to convince parents is as I'm doing a tour, I find the children that are in action and I explain to the parent why that is learning. So one of my favorite things is Play-Doh. And I'm always excited if I'm doing a tour and I see a child playing with Play-Doh. And because Play-Doh is just like a normal everyday thing, right? And you think as a parent like, yeah, they're just playing with Play-Doh, no big deal. But there's so much happening when a child is playing with Play-Doh. They are learning so much. So an example of what I would do is I would actually go in and tell the parent to, I explained to them, like, you know, Play-Doh seems like a pretty routine thing to do, right? And the parent would probably be like, oh yeah, you know, we do it at home, it's fun and all. I'm like, well, here, every week, on Monday, we make the Play-Doh fresh here. The reason we make the Play-Doh, and the children help us make the Play-Doh, is because that is a science, math, and sensory experience, right? And it's a social emotional experience. The children actually get to measure the ingredients. So they're learning about measuring, they're learning number concept, they're learning the visualization of it, they're learning the counting. There's so much learning going into measuring a cup of flour, some water, and some salt, right? They're also learning science because we explain to them, like, okay, here the flour is a solid, but if we take a liquid and mix it with the solid and they mix it, what happens, right? And then we're taking the food coloring and we're taking that and changing the color. And then as they're doing it, the children, in COVID style, they all get their own little bowls so they can get their hands in there and really get in there and feel. Well, that feeling of the Play-Doh and using their fingers is actually toning their fine muscles, their fine motor muscles, right? And I'll ask the parent, did you know that what they're doing with the Play-Doh is actually the first step in learning how to write? And most parents are like, really? Are you kidding? It's not with a crayon? I'm like, nope. When you want your child to have really good handwriting, get them started on fine motor activities from an early age. Play-Doh is one of the best because it's working all the muscles that they need to learn that fine motor skill. And they're getting those muscles working, they're learning how to use those fingers, and it's strengthening the muscles that they're going to need in order to have good handwriting. So do you see how by just pointing out to parents all the Play-Doh entails, right, that what they're learning, and then of course there's a social emotional aspect of it, that they're playing together, they're comparing things. It's wonderful. It's one of the best ways to educate parents, right? And it's as simple as watching them play Play-Doh. So look for opportunities. They are happening around us in our centers all day, every day. So as you're doing tours, find those opportunities and educate the parents on why that is such a rich learning experience. So, and that really just helps them to build the confidence in you. It helps you look like you really know what you're talking about, that you're competent, that you have this entire structure that's, you know, amazing basically, which is what it is. And here they thought they were just playing with Play-Doh. I've just explained to them how much they're learning. What I love even more is my teachers are trained to facilitate learning, right? So if a child is playing with Play-Doh, there's going to be somebody sitting with them, and they're going to be doing some comparisons. So I can also explain to them how the math concepts are being built through the comparisons, you know, and different things like that. You can find graphs on your wall, hopefully, that you're doing with the children. Point that out to them. Have visuals, you know, of like the classroom in action, the poster visuals, where you can show them. And you guys, today I will give you a COVID twist on all of this. So don't worry about it. I know COVID's making it difficult, so I will be giving you a COVID twist on all of this. I'm just going to go through my normal tour stuff first, and then we'll go into the COVID style tour. So the other thing is building trust, right? Part of what you're doing when you tell stories like that and you're making it come to life is you're showing the parents that you really know what you're doing and you're competent, right? So you're building the trust. But you also want to really just become relatable. That's another thing too, is really just becoming relatable. So make sure that you're asking them questions, make it personal, talk about your own children. the experiences they had. What got you into childcare? Why are you here? I know for me it was my own children. That's what got me into it. It's all like, oh, I told you know, I'll always work my boys into the conversation somehow. I let them get to know me. I talk about my background, how I developed my own curriculum and program based on my experiences as a neurological psychologist, you know, just with that degree background, and just letting them see who I really am. What's really important about that too, though, is that I'm authentic, though. You've got to be yourself. Don't play a part. Don't pretend to be somebody you're not. Be authentically you. So you can really build that real, authentic, legitimate connection with a parent. Make sure you get their names, use their names, use the child's name, right? So the other thing is show off your superpower. I'm always pointing out my QRIS rating, the fact that, you know, so if you're NACE accredited, things like that. If you are nature-based, one of you guys in day 1, I think it was a homework thread, have an amazing superpower that I absolutely loved. And it was about being very nurturing, that you, she said she was a very nurturing environment, and that she was compassionate, realistic with parents, and she really honored the parents and their beliefs and systems. And it was amazing. So that is something you absolutely want to show in your tours, right? You want to talk about that. Should brag about it. Do not be afraid to brag about yourself. Don't be afraid to brag about your center. This is the time to do it. It's like a job interview kind of, right? Where you've got to put your best foot forward and help them to see what makes you better than the rest. That's very important. And I hope you feel like you're better than the rest. If you don't, you definitely need to hire me in my coaching. So I can definitely get you there. So the next thing too is your staff. One of the things my center knows is that my center needs to always be tour ready. From the moment you walk in the door to all the classrooms, it's got to be tour ready. Now, I'm going to start off by saying I don't want you to confuse that, thinking that that means everything has to be neat and tidy all the time. And I'm going to tell you what I train my staff all it's in my new hire training even, that there is a difference between being messy and dirty. Okay, there is a difference between being messy and dirty. When a center is messy, a classroom, that's okay. That means the children are having fun and learning. If toys are spread out around the classroom, Play-Doh is smeared on the table, you know, maybe there's a center where the baby dolls are taking a bath and there's soapy water splashed on the tables. It's fine. The children are learning. You can point that out. Like, yes, this may look like organized chaos, which if you've been in a childcare center for any amount of time, you know childcare centers are organized chaos all the time. You can mention that, but the children are learning and growing, right? You want to say that. Now, dirty is totally different. If there's dust on your light fixtures, if there's dust on like your fire extinguishers, right? Those not so often touched surfaces, that's dirty. That all has to be clean. Your floor should be mopped. Your floor should be vacuumed. You shouldn't see anything on the tops of the bookshelves, right? The center always has to be clean. Always has to be clean. I cannot stress that to you enough. Messy is okay, dirty is not. Needs to be sanitized constantly. So just really let that sink in. Messy is okay. Explain why messy is okay. You know, if your paint station has paint splatter, that's fine. Kids are having fun, they're learning, it's great. But if there is yogurt smeared on your refrigerator, not okay. Not okay, that's different, that's dirty. So just keep that in mind. It's one of the things when I hire a teacher that is actually from a different center, I always have to retrain them in their thinking. That is one mindset shift I have to constantly make with teachers that come from other centers. That when children are making a mess, they are growing, they are learning. That is okay. I don't want them doing the busy work, I want them playing. Dirty, not okay. I don't want food on the floor at any time. I don't want to see something that's dried on the floor that hasn't been mopped, right? So that's pretty much a huge mindset shift where teachers are always thinking that they constantly have to be chasing after the children, putting the toys away. If the child dumps a basket, they think that they need to thin it out or have everything put away. No, The children are learning when they dump a basket. Those 2-year-olds who go and dump a basket and then dump another basket, that is learning. They're learning about gravity. That's when the teachers need to go in there and start facilitating the learning and helping them, giving them things to dump, right? That's a sign that this is something that they're learning. It doesn't mean that you take the baskets away and don't allow them to dump anything. They need to learn this stuff. So training the staff on that is so very important. And just training them and explain it when you're doing tours. If there's toys all over, explain why. Tell the parents, don't be afraid, be transparent. So your staff though also needs to be presentable, right? They need to look apart, which is why dress codes are nice to have. I recently had to have a talk with my staff on the length of shorts in their dress code, right? Very important how we are portraying ourselves, okay? Make sure that you train your staff to introduce themselves to the parent tours. A lot of staff members are extremely shy, so this can be difficult. For the ones who are painfully shy and new, at least make sure they know that they need to ask the child's name and talk to the child. Get on their level, interact with the child, right? Very, very important to interact with the child while the parents are touring, okay? Train them on how to do tours. Set up expectations, document them, and train your staff how to behave during a tour. It's phenomenal if your staff member, one of the teachers in the classroom, takes over when you hit that classroom. If they show them around the room, explain the parent board and curriculum to them, that is phenomenal. But I understand that a lot of teachers are too shy to do that. So if, one of the things you guys look at me teach on is leaders and staff. If you've taken my dream team, I have a training that's called Creating Your Dream Team. If you've taken that, I talk to you about how as leaders, we oftentimes expect our staffs to be like us and think like us, but they're never going to be. Otherwise, they would be a director and an owner too. They are more than likely B-type personalities. We, owners and directors, we're A-types, right? We're leaders, so they're not going to be like us. So don't try and force them to be like us, right? So we have to set up expectations that are clear and documented, even in the tour. Let them know what you expect out of them. Interaction, just showing them kindness. But if they are painfully shy and it's more awkward, then it is helpful, then just make sure that they're interacting with a child, right? You don't want it to be so forced and that it's awkward. So just keep that in mind. And that's the thing, if they're prepared, it won't be so hard for them. So just getting them prepared ahead of time is just really, really helpful. So the other thing I want to talk about is your tour packet. The tour packet is very important, right? That is the materials they're going to take home and review after they leave you. So it's really important for you to look at the tour packet and make sure it is clean. I do not allow photocopies of photocopies in my center. And even with daily sheets, you guys, no photocopies of photocopies, because what ends up happening is if there's a flaw, the flaw's copied, and then it gets bigger and bigger. It gets a little crooked, they get messy, they get unlegible. Everything that my center sends home that isn't within my center has to be on clean paper and has to be well aligned and look great, right? Because that is what's representing your center, okay? Make sure it's thorough, the questions, objections are answered. What objections we know parents are going to have, how is the child going to separate whatnot, create something that answers those objections that makes it much easier for the parents to choose your center, right? You want to look at the objections that the parent's going to have about enrolling your child and deal with them straight on immediately. Very important aspect there. Also your price list. I do not publish my price list. I want the parents to have to come in and ask me for them. So the price list is another big component for me there. One of the things I've done on my price list that has actually won a lot of trust is I have my prices, and then it's just one sheet of paper, but I have a really quick overview of the policies and procedures that affect the parents the most. I give it to them, and I actually tell them that I believe in being transparent and upfront about everything. And I tell them these policies and procedures are industry standard for the most part, but they are the policies and procedures that tend to rub parents the wrong way the most. They do cause the most tension in the long run. So, because of my philosophy of being upfront, I like to give these to you ahead of time before you sign up for my center, so you know exactly what you're getting into. It's amazing how much parents appreciate that. It's cheat sheet, they know ahead of time, and how I build trust right there and then by being upfront with them, right? And it's all, you guys, and these are the things like if they're late for picking up, what do we charge? Payments are due a week ahead of time. Payment is due regardless of the child's in attendance or not. Industry standard stuff, same things that we all should, if you don't, you should, have as our policies, right? It's just good business practice, industry standard stuff, that if they go to my competitor, they're gonna be doing the same thing. But it's that upfront honesty that makes it a game changer for them. So keep that in mind. So think of what you want in your tour packet. It should be a reflection of who your center is. Make sure you're showing off your superpower, right? Get your prices in there. Something that builds trust and rapport, something that helps them remind them about that trust and rapport that you've built during the tour, and make sure that they are clean and very well presentable. Think about how parents tour, right? They're probably going to multiple centers. So if they go and tour 3 or 4 centers and they're looking at each one of your packets, you're going to want them to associate back with you, but you're also going to want it to look good, right? Because if they're still on the fence and they're comparing you based on the packet, then that is a pretty important thing to have looking really good. If they're still on the fence and talking about it and it's your packet that you're sending home, it needs to look good and it needs to be thorough. I'm not saying you need to buy like really pretty folders and leaflets for it. I mean clean and professional. That's what it needs to look like. So I'm hoping that all makes sense. I think the other thing to really remember too is building those connections. If I can stress, like, just build that connection. My husband has trained salesmen, and one of the things he's told me is you've got to make a 5-minute friend, right? And it's something that's really stuck with me. I know we don't like the thought of sales, and nobody wants to be a salesperson, but bottom line is, when you do a tour, you are a salesperson. You're selling your center, right? So when you do this, just keep in mind that you need to make that 5-minute friend, that build that trust, but be you, be authentic, right? Show them who you really are and make those connections. So I really hope that was helpful on the normal tour. So I'm going to transition now into the COVID style tour. So doing tours COVID style. It is so hard, you guys. I have to say, I really struggle with this because as a parent, I remember when my children were young, I would not enroll my child in a place that did not let me go. If they told me I can't go back into the classrooms, I wouldn't have enrolled. No way. I know COVID's a little bit different and everybody has to do it, so we're kind of making allowances. But what I feel about this, I don't know, if you're not in a hot spot, I would really ask you, is it okay to maybe let the parents wear a mask and still tour the center? Drop off and pick up are different, but the tour, letting them meet the teachers, letting them see the classroom in person. As a parent myself, I would not enroll my child if I could not walk to a classroom. Ask yourself. But if you're in a hot spot, I'm going to say virtual tour all the way, right? But if you're not in a hot spot, if you're in a smaller area, maybe doing tours with a mask on. That is entirely up to you though. Has to be your call, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you feel is safest for your center, right? Part of the reason I really just want to do my normal tours because I can't wait for COVID to be over, because I just really can't stand the protocol. And I'm sure all of you guys feel the same. It makes it very hard for us to keep up our normal quality when we even have to talk about the fact that we can't let parents walk through our centers. It is so hard, right? Having the parents being able to go into the classrooms does make our quality better. It helps to build rapport. It helps to keep those connections and trust. So that is what I have to say about that, about the mask thing. It is what it is, but has to be your call. So when it comes to doing a virtual tour, I do think even if you create a virtual tour, I think it's really important to make a personal connection. So I would even suggest, and one of the things that we've done is doing the virtual tour in your lobby, showing them there so you can still talk to them, keeping your 6 foot of distance, like just having signs that, okay, sit at the table here. I know this is awkward, but I'm going to be 6 feet apart here with my laptop. We're going to show you the virtual tour, but still getting that human one-on-one connection, right? Or even if maybe setting up a Zoom call, so you're still getting that live connection. I do not, absolutely do not like the idea of doing a tour where it is, let me just throw my video up on Facebook, let me throw my video up on my website. It is just not personal enough. If I'm going to do a virtual tour, I will do it through Zoom. I will schedule an appointment to do it through Zoom, but I am not going to do my stuff on my Facebook page or something like that. I need that personal connection. I don't mind meeting parents on a Zoom call and then sharing my screen, showing them and talking to them as and I will talk over, I'm not going to do a scripted tour. I don't mind showing them the video that we took of our classrooms and whatnot, but I need to have that personal connection in order for it to be successful and to build trust and to build that rapport. And for me and my center's super quality or superpower being quality, I really feel like I would be doing my parents a disservice. And I feel like it would not be to my quality standards to not have that personal connection. But again, all of this has to be your call. It doesn't take, think about it, you guys, if you Zoom is free for up to 40 minutes a month, right? So even if you have to pay for it, it's not very much at all. I think it's like 20 bucks a month. So if you schedule Zoom tours, you're still able to do that normal tour. You're still able to, you can even honestly take your phone and walk around and show the center. You don't even have to have a video if you don't have one yet and you're doing a Zoom tour, right? But just really consider that, getting those connections, building that trust. It's just one easier way for us to do it with that and making it personal. Okay, so just really keep that in mind. I just really, really think that if you're going to do it, you gotta just be able to talk. You gotta let the parents ask their questions and build that rapport. So the other thing too I think is very important is we need to acknowledge COVID right now. And we really need to let the parents know what are we doing to keep their children safe. So in our tour packets at this point, I have included my infectious disease plan, right? For those of you who've been with me for a while, I created an infectious disease strategic plan that covers, mine is at this point about 8 pages long. It covers everything my center's doing to keep the children safe from COVID. We've had exposure, by the way, in my center, but not a single spread. Not one time have we ever spread, knock on wood. But it's really, these are the steps that we're taking, right? Because I want the parents to know that we are taking this very seriously, that we are taking these steps, and it shows them that we are responsible enough to have a plan. I have a plan from A to Z. I have a plan on if we have to shut down for 2 weeks, this is exactly what we're going to do to transition the children out and back in, right? It shows them that we are taking this seriously, we know what we're doing, and we are taking action. So it will help them, it does help them actually to feel more confident. We have been able to enroll several students through all of this. And it does help them to feel confidence in us, and it does make them feel reassured that we are taking this seriously and we are doing what we need to do to keep their children safe. If you don't have your own infectious disease plan, I have shared it with this group. My outline is in there. The reason I give you guys my outline and not my entire plan is because it really needs to be formatted to your center. But you can very easily take my outline and fill in the blanks and create it for your own center. And I can guarantee you guys, if you do this, your staff and your families will feel so much better. You need to have a written plan. I cannot stress that enough. If you're struggling with your staff not wanting to work through COVID, if your families don't want to come back, it's because they don't have confidence in you and your center right now. Having that plan in place will give them the confidence. It's just, you've got to have, you should have it anyway, but if you don't, it will give them the confidence. So I hope that's helpful, you guys. And again, I am so sorry. I get to see your comments and whatnot, but I will go through afterwards and interact with you guys, and I will be posting after just some materials and information for you, the homework for today, and again, message me or leave questions here that I can address on Saturday, and I hope you guys will join me Saturday for the Zoom question and answer live. I will see you guys tomorrow again at the same time. Have a great evening.